Oh, paddlers, welcome back to my channel. Well, I told you when I was on the water last time, I was doing like a little Q&A type video because I have been asked a few questions lately over the past month or so, and I thought I'll put them together. I've answered the questions from the people. A couple of people have sent me an email, somebody left a comment, somebody asked me a question on one of their channels actually. Anyhow, I just thought I'd put it together. Oh yeah, and two people asked me the same question while I was actually on the water. Different days, same question while I was on the water. That was about a month or so ago, something like that, before I got ill. Anyhow, yeah, we'll jump straight into it anyway. Alright, and I'll have to say, just in case you're brand new to this channel, I am not an expert by any stretch of the imagination. Right? This is not just like my opinion though. This is stuff I've researched for myself from experts, if that makes any sense. So I'm in a way passing on information, apart from one thing. The first thing, I was asked about my camera. Alright, how come it seems to turn real easy? And all it is, I'll leave a link to it. It's one of them like crocodile mounts, you know what I mean? And I've got it pinned, I've got it, can't get the words out. Glued or double-sided tape down to just a piece of wood that I just wrapped up in tape just to keep dry, basically, just a piece of wood. And it's one of them adjustable ones. Hope you can see that in this light. If not, I'll do a bit of editing. But yeah, it's one of them just adjustable ones, so that's how I turn it round. Right, and it was about 10 quid, and all I do is I actually clip it onto the bungee cords at the front of my boat, and that's why I did this little wooden plate, and it just sits on my boat nice and solid. Right, and if I'm filming forward or if I need to film myself because I'm so pretty, just turn it round and point at me or sideways or whatever, and that's all it is. It's nothing special. I've been through about, if you're a subscriber you'll know, I've had lots of different ideas about mounting a camera on the kayak. I've gone from flotation devices to big blocks of wood, and this is what I've ended up with, a small little compact thing. And I'll leave a link in the description to this, but for me it works perfect, right? But you need some sort of bungee cord at the front of your boat, you get me? If you've got nothing, you need something to clip it onto. Okay, right, so I just thought I'd cover that really fast, alright, because I ain't got a lot to talk about, but that's not that important. Link in the description, there you go. Right, now one question I was asked, alright, and I got this via email. I'm sure this was an email. Anyway, which is the best paddle to buy? Well, oh my god, that's one of them. There's no correct answer. There's no correct. I would recommend, if you can afford it, get yourself a really decent paddle. If you're gonna, I don't mean you've just bought your first kayak and you want to try it and you've only paid £70, £90 or £100 for your first little kayak. Right, because you might not like it, so you don't want to go spend 300-400 quid on a paddle just in case you don't actually enjoy kayaking. But get yourself the best paddle you can. Now the actual shaft, the long bit that you hold on to, if you can, get a carbon fibre one, because they're lightweight, which means less strain on your arms, you know what I mean, so you can paddle faster or you can paddle further without any strain. But what is important, try to avoid the really cheap paddles. If you're getting a cheap kayak, it will probably come with a paddle, and the paddle it comes with will be okay for you to try it out on the water. But if you enjoy it, you will outgrow that paddle within a day, maybe two. Alright, so try, you'll see them sort of paddles on like Amazon for about £20. Alright, they are useless. The actual paddle part, I should have gone with paddle, the actual blade that goes on the, your long bit is the shaft, and on the ends that go in the water, that's the blade. Alright, you'll get some that, imagine my hand's the blade, you'll get some that if you push on it, it'll bend over like that. Now that's useless. Now imagine that in the water, you're pushing on it and it's just bending up, you're not going to get anywhere. Alright, so if you can spend about, well, you see, that's it, I can't tell you how much to spend. You see, that's why it's such a difficult question. If you've got plenty of cash and you're getting into the hobby, you want somewhat like, I'm not saying by man, but somewhat like the one I've got, fully carbon fibre, and my blades transparent fiberglass, which makes them very strong. Right, and it cuts through the water great and everything. Excuse me. Or you can get full carbon fibre paddles, or trust me, you'll know which is a good one because the price range is going to go like that. Right, but it's such a difficult, because I don't know how much money you've got to spend. You say, if somebody said to me, I've got £60 to spend, which paddle should I buy? Well, that's different. That's a different question altogether. But simply answering the question, which paddle should I get? In general, it all depends on your money. But, I mean, like an aluminium paddle, you can get some nice, I've got an aluminium paddle with, what's it made out of? It's like a plastic, but it's not a plastic, like a resin paddle, and that's nice and solid, and that's a great paddle, but it's bloody heavy, and that's why I ended up getting the big carbon fibre one and stuff. But yeah, if you watch this and you really do need to know exactly which paddle for you, or which is a decent one for you, send us an email, but tell me exactly how much you want to spend, and then I can give you a couple of recommendations, because I looked at a lot and I researched a lot. You know, before I bought that last one, the carbon fibre one, I did a lot of research. I mean, I must have looked at least 50 different paddles, right, and read everything about them, and then checked into them, watched reviews and all sorts of stuff. So I can say I have done my homework on things like that. So if you've got a set amount of money and you really want to know, right, drop us an email. Right, you'll find my email address in the About tab on the homepage. Drop us an email and I'll recommend 3 or 4 for you, or 2 or 3, whichever. So it is a difficult one to answer though. Alright. Okay then, moving on. I'm going to do the dry suit now, because this is something I was asked on the water 2 separate days. And I'm sure somebody asked me about this in the comments as well. About the gasket around your neck. This bit that goes around your neck. Is it tight? Well, yes, it's tight. Right, it's rubber gasket, but it has to be tight. Right, because if you fall in, it's to stop the water from gushing in. Right, if it was real loose like this shirt, you can imagine you fall in, water's going to gush in, you're going to fill up like a bloody balloon, and you could sink right down to the bottom. So you want it to be tight, but at the same time you don't want to be choking and trying to, you don't want to pass out, do you? Alright, so there are things you can do. Alright, the gasket is shaped like that, wider at the bottom obviously, and narrower at the top obviously. You can actually cut, if it's really bad, right, you can actually cut a piece off the top, right, and the more you cut, the wider it's going to get, right, common sense. The more you cut off the top, the wider it's going to get. Like if it was a pyramid, you cut the top off, you get, you know what I mean? I'm not going to explain that, you get that, right? But be very careful, you don't want to cut too much off. In fact, I'd recommend never cutting, alright, because it's rubber as well. You'll make a nick and it's going to tear, and then you have to replace the gasket, which isn't the end of the world, right? But it's a pain in the backside really. But well, saying that, well, it is a bit of a pain, yeah. But yeah, so I'd recommend never cutting them if they're a bit tight. When I first put this one on, it was tight, alright? But in time, the more you use them, they'll stretch. So that's another reason why not to cut it. You could cut it and think, oh, that's perfect. But then after a bit of time, it's going to stretch and then it's too baggy. What you can do, right? Let me open this up. What you can do is get something like this, right? Wider than your own neck. Some sort of tub. Obviously not a square tub, but a tub. And shove it inside and over your neck gasket like that, and leave it on for a few weeks. Right? Obviously, if you just bought the DRYSUIT and it's winter and you need to wear it, you can't do that. But the days you're not wearing it, leave the tub in, and it will start to stretch itself, but it'll still bounce back. So when it does come round for time again for you to put it on, it's still going to be tight on your neck, so it won't let any water in. Okay, so that is a great idea. That's not my invention, right? But that's a great idea, and I'll guarantee you it works, because I know it works, because this was too tight for me. I didn't want to cut it for the reasons I've already explained. I used this over a period of about 3 or 4 weeks in stages. Worked great, right? Now when I put it on, that's something else. When I put it on, you think, whoa. You know, as soon as you're on the water paddling, you forget all about it, because you're doing something, you're concentrating on something else. You're not actually thinking, oh, that's around my neck. You're actually concentrating on something else, so don't worry about it. So yeah, there you go. That's what I recommend. Now also, with gaskets, well, I'll do the zips first. Right, you need some wax. You need, left all my gear upstairs anyhow, got a block of wax, right? And you rub it on the zips and you rub it inside and stuff like that to make the zips run, and it's a protection thing. It's something you want to be doing every couple of weeks, or at least every other time you use it. You see, even if you're not using it, you still want to give it rubber wax, because if your zip gets jammed, you might be able to see bits of the wax in there actually. If I hold that still, like the yellow on the zip end, if I just hold that still, hopefully you'll see that. But if your zip jams and you pull it and it rips, well, 1, your DRYSUIT's no good anymore. 2, you may as well throw it away and buy a brand new DRYSUIT, because it will cost you just as much to have one of these zips replaced. They cost a fortune to have replaced. You know, you can pick up a DRYSUIT, right, for say £300 or £400, but to have the zip replaced will cost you £300 or £400. So it's not so much. You really want to protect them zips with some wax, right? All you have to do, I'm not going to leave a link, right? Just Google or go on Amazon or eBay and just put something like zip wax or DRYSUIT wax, or, you know, you'll find it. They're everywhere. If I remember, I'll leave a link to what I use. Something else about the gaskets. Now you have your feet are sealed in, right? So I wear thermal socks, right, and then I've got boots. Oh, in my last video I actually said my feet are cold, I don't know what to do, because I had sort of like the thermal socks on and stuff and sort of like water shoes. Well, now I've got some proper boots, so I'm fine there. But your feet are like a material, right? But on the neck you've got your rubber gasket, and on your sleeves you've got your rubber gasket. Okay, the sleeves will be tight, but it's not like being on your neck. But what you need to do, now I recommend this, right, every few days, well not every few days, let's see, about once every 2 weeks if you're not using your DRYSUIT, and after every use if you're using your DRYSUIT. And what you need is to put some talc on. Right? You can actually get white chalk gasket powder, and it's so expensive, and it was an expert who told me it's actually just plain white talcum powder. So I use Johnson's baby powder, alright, and that's what this Kayak white chalk powder stuff is, right? It's so expensive. And what you want to do is, now this is how I do it, right? I got an old sock and I filled it with a powder, and it's just easier to put on. And I'll show you this, I hope you can see this, right? You literally just bang it on, right, and cover the gasket, both sides, right? Just give the gasket a really good covering in this powder, rub it on the inside, rub it all over the place, right? Make sure the gasket is absolutely covered in that powder, right, in your talcum powder, and it will protect it. Why? Good question. Simple answer. It's rubber. Think of an elastic band. You buy an elastic band and it's great. You chuck it in the cupboard. 6 months later you open that cupboard, and that elastic band, as you pull it, it just crumbles to pieces and just snaps. Because they dry out and they break because they're made out of a flimsy rubber. Now a gasket, right, is rubber, and the same thing, it will just flake up and it'll fall to bits. But if you keep applying talc to it, right, and that includes the sleeves as well, right, don't forget the sleeves, right, and like I said, not just the outside, turn your sleeves up, get right in there, give it loads of this powder, don't be shy. I mean, it's cheap talcum powder. You don't want the scented or chemicals, right? Just plain white baby powder. If it's good enough for a baby's bum, it's not going to hurt your gasket. And even, like I said, on the inside, turn your gasket, you can see I've already done this, it's covered in the stuff. Alright, now every single time do this after use. It will take you 5 minutes. That's all it's going to take. But every time you've been out on the water, when you get back, once your DRYSUIT is dry, if it got wet, right, you know, rain and all that sort of stuff, do that with the talcum powder. You don't have to use a sock. You can sprinkle the talc on if you want and rub it in with your hands. But this way, to me, it just seems easy. Right, you just, when you watch me, you're just banging it on. Right. You could just wrap it up in a cloth or something like that. But yeah, so it's maintenance, because these things aren't cheap. Right? If you see one of these on eBay for £60, £100, don't bother. Right? You're wasting your money. Right? The thing will fall to pieces. They're not cheap. Right? So you have to look after them, because it's not the sort of thing you can go out and buy. It's the second most expensive thing to your boat, and in some cases it's more expensive than your boat. Right? It's a lot more expensive than my first kayak, this is. So you have to look after them. Remember, right? Don't forget, you must look after them. So you want the wax on the zips, I'll leave it. There's also a cleaning solution. So if your zips, for any reason, get all dirty and stuff, I should have brought it down, I'm sorry. Yeah, unscrew it, it's got like a brush with like a liquid, comes out a bit like a gel, and it's to clean your brushes, clean your zips, and then you put the wax on. Like I said, I will leave links to them products, right, because they are important products, like the wax and stuff. Not expensive, and because the last thing you want is your zips ripping, sticking, jamming, and you force them and you rip it. And then you, like I said, you might as well throw your dry suit away. Unless you know a professional seamstress who'll do it for you. Gaskets, plenty of talcum powder. If you, like, we'll say spring, summertime, you're not going to be wearing your dry suit. Every 2 weeks, stick that talcum powder on. Every month, spring, summer, every month, do the wax. Every 2 weeks, do the talc. Maybe if it's hot, even every week, do the talcum powder if it's hot. You don't want them gaskets drying out, and don't leave them in the sun. Don't leave your dry suit out in the sun. The gaskets, the sun, the UV rays will damage the rubber. Right, when you're not using your dry suit, pack it away and put it in a cool, dark place. Me personally, I just got one of these great big sports bags and it fits in there. Right, wanted to cover all that. I think that was it. I don't think anybody else asked me any questions. No, can't think. I was asked about the camera, I was asked about the paddle, which was a difficult one, and the gaskets. So there you go, that's it. Quick little Q&A about what I've been asked, and I thought I'll put it out because some other people might find it interesting. If you've got any questions, just leave a comment and I'll do my best to answer. If it's very difficult and I don't know the answer, I'll try and look it up for you, and if I can't find the answer, I'll tell you the truth. I'll say I don't know and I couldn't find the answer. But yeah, so can't think of anything else to say because I believe I've covered everything now. Right, paddlers, I'm just jumping back in here because I forgot. I forgot something. I wanted to give you a tip, and all this is me personally, nobody else. This is just something I thought of. So if you don't like the idea, forget it. I don't mind. Alright, but you know when you got your inflatable boats and you fold them up, they're constantly, if you fold them in the same way, I mean with the DRYSUIT X500 that I've got, you fold it the same way so it fits in the bag basically, and you're constantly putting a crease line, shall we say, right in the same spot every time. Now after a while that could, like I said, this is just my opinion, right, that could start to wear out a little bit. So wear the material out where it's creasing over constantly. Right, so what I've done, right, I don't know if it's actually any good, I don't know if it's a good idea or a bad idea, but it was an idea. Right, and I put these tubes down, like pipe lagging, just on the crease. Actually, I was out in the boat, so I took a quick little video to show you, so let's just have a look at that video. Okay paddlers, this is what I meant. I just have a piece of pipe lagging, and where my boat falls over, this is like the crease area there, that's what I put mark. I just put that in, just as I fold it over. Right, one on both sides. Right, just on the crease level, just to take the strain off the actual crease. There you go then, you see exactly what I mean. So it's just a little tip, and it might help protect that crease line as you're folding your boat over in the same place. Because with that particular kayak, the X500, when you fold it up, you get like a strap, and you put it round and you crank down on the strap to really squeeze it in so it fits in the bag. And I think personally putting that pressure on that fold line constantly might just cause a problem. That's why I nearly fell over then. Whee! That's why I started to use that pipe, that lagging. But it's just a tip. If you want to take it on board, you can. If you don't, you don't. Let me know if you think it's a good idea or a bad idea in the comments. Alright? If you do think it's a waste of time, tell me. I don't mind. Okay then paddlers, I'll definitely leave it there now. Thanks for watching. Cheers.